So, but a screaming baby comes first means not my husband. My husband comes first. The screaming baby comes first, right? Like, hello, duh, right? Okay, that's the question we've got today. So I want to tell you a story about it. One of my students, her name? Jeannie. Fine. Oh, that's good. Jeannie. Okay. So Jeannie, one of my students, Jeannie, she became a teacher, okay, a preschool teacher, precisely so she could be home to greet her kids when they come home from school. Okay, that's when she was a girl, she was going into study, she said, I want to be there for my kids. Fine. Since she was little, she wanted to be the best mother possible. That was her whole dream in life. And even when she was dating, one of the first questions that she asked her prospective dates, okay, things got a little warm. She'd say, can I just ask you a question? And the question was, as a parent, do you agree or disagree that the children should always come first? And if they said no, she did not continue to date them. And if they said yes, she continued to date them. And in fact, her husband had this, when she dated her husband, one of the deciding factors that she chose her husband was because he agreed with us. In fact, it's how his parents raised him. His mother was a stay-at-home mom. His father was a veterinarian. Both agreed. This was from the get-go, before they even got engaged, that when they got married, the children would always come first. And that's how marriage is. Fine. So my first question to you is?
Before we do that, I'm just going to open up the lines. If you can click on Q&A. For any of our callers, if you want to respond, it's *6 on your phone. The lines are going to be open. So *6 on your phones.
So the question for the people on the in the teleconference, or even if Facebook, they can type it in. Is there anything wrong with this couple's plan? Okay.
Well, if you read Marriage Secrets.
Okay. Well, let's say you had it. They both agree. They're both consenting adults. This is a decision they made. And this is how they want to. This is how they want to enforce it in their life. What's wrong with that?
And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. Meaning, it should be perfect. It should make sense. That when your kids are little, they're dependent on you. They need you. You and your husbands are adults. You can take care of yourself, and you know how to take care of yourself. Your children are dependent on you. They're your priority. They should come first.
They come first.
For
okay.
Sure.
Anybody?
100%.
What else?
They didn't specify when they're just little, did they?
This one did not say what.
That, but when they said always.
Yeah.
They didn't specify.
Yeah, they did not in the marriage. It was like when we get married, children all right.
In the back of their mind, they figured as the children get older and they need us less, is what happens. You wish easy that they figured while their children need them, their children would be first.
Okay, so let's say we're going to give them Sarit's stamp of approval or whatever.
Yes.
We're going to say, okay, this is a great plan. What are the pitfalls of this approach? What are the problems that might arise with that kind of an approach? I'm just going to walk through this.
You end up neglecting the needs of yourself and your spouse.
You end up neglecting the needs of yourself and your spouse. Good, that's one. What else?
Okay, but that's not to be born. You gave birth to them, so that is now your job.
Okay, you have something to say. What? You're nodding your head frantically.
To take
What?
care of them.
Huh? What?
Your children didn't ask to be born. Nobody asked to be born.
No, but your children, you made a choice to marry your husband and you're both adults. Your children need you.
So if you're going to have to give up some of your own needs to take care of them, why not? That's what a giving person is. They sometimes have to give of themselves and give up of their own needs.
Okay, it's needs or luxuries, certain things. Like if your husband needs to be fed, let's say when he comes home from work, he could wait 10 minutes, but
or he could go feed himself.
Correct. Or why the child, you have to put the child to sleep, or do you really just stop and feed your husband?
So that's part of the problem, that here they are, they've got this plan, right? That the children always come first. How does a person prioritize their day? they've got, their husband's coming home for dinner and their kid has a science report. So does that mean that they should work on the science report, get the dinner ready at 7:30, and they have a kid who, has a big exam the next day, vocabulary, and they're going to test them on the vocabulary? You can see the level of stress in the household because of not having clarity about priorities, right? The level of stress in a home would be through the roof because it's ratcheting up, and you don't know what to do. And a lot of the stress that we're under today is because we do not have clarity on what our priorities are. It's a huge missing in our lives. We don't even notice it. And we're just running from thing to thing to thing. Whatever fire comes, we do the fire because that's a fire. We got to take it. The screaming baby, because of fire, we got to take care of it. Without thinking, we all know this thing about what's important versus what's urgent. Like everything ends up being urgent, and everything that's important ends up falling to the bottom of the barrel. Go.
Also, you're starting off that's the premise. So even though you're saying that they don't need you, then your son's calling dinner with your husband. It's like you've always been trained.
Right. You've always trained.
Yeah. So it's like pick up the phone.
Yeah.
It's just. That's how
You mean like you
when
said,
does it stop? All of a sudden it's going to stop because they get to a certain age or now they're self-sufficient. Get so accustomed to that
there's no transition into taking care of your husband.
and then you expect, we always said this, that the kids come first. So at some point it's like.
You mean they said that this couple, I forget her name already, Jeannie.
Yeah.
So you're saying Jeannie and her husband are up. So
Right.
then when it comes to time to put him first, she's not even
It's just
in the
that's how
habit
it
of
always
doing
is
it.
going to be.
But I don't even think that I don't think that she would have a problem with it for all her life. I think it's a woman that can totally have no problem putting her kids first for her entire life. I think it's the man that realizes what did I sign up for? Because he may have said that, okay with it, but he will never, ever, ever feel what a mother feels when she would put her child first. He won't ever, in his mind, he can't.
Meaning
shift
he's doing it because he made a commitment rather than that it's
But
now hold on.
Same.
If he would answer the phone and the son
She
calls,
wouldn't care.
yeah,
She wouldn't care. A woman
I think-
would not the same way.
If he, wait, I missed that one. Hold on, before we remember exactly what you're going to say, I just want to say on the teleconference, at people on the teleconference line, in about 3 minutes, I'm going to ask for a coach, need a volunteer from the phone lines if you always put your children first. I want to walk you through it, how it affects your marriage. All you have to do is press *6 when prompted, and hopefully somebody will be brave enough. I promise you will have a big breakthrough in your marriage by putting yourself out there for us. Nobody knows who you are. We've got callers from Tunisia. Well, who's calling? I don't know, but we get the records. We have Zimbabwe, Israel, first. London. I'm trying to remember all of the ones. She sent me
just
this
know
whole
by
list.
the accent.
Yeah, there you go. But nobody knows who you are. Okay, so if somebody on the teleconference right now, get yourself geared. Okay, remember your point. What was it?
That was the
I
point.
also agree. Like the wife will say, "Should I get?" I don't think the husband will say, "Oh, do you mind if I get the phone?"
Yeah, no, the wife won't.
You mean the phone will
she
just
won't
get
pick
if they're both sitting together having a romantic
Yeah.
dinner? I have to just tell you from personal experience, not easy, because I grew up thinking that's how you raise a family. And it was big news to me. And I'm going to go through actually some of the sources so that we see what this is looking like. I'm going to see, is there anybody on the teleconference right now who would be our volunteer hero? Anyone brave enough? And, I'm not going to ask you weird questions. It's very, very straightforward. My first questions would be, do you put your kids first? And if so, is the ramification to your marriage? I'm going to wait 1 second to see if anybody is brave enough to do that. Anybody coming up on the line? No. Okay. I don't blame you. I don't want to be the first out.
No brave
okay.
takers.
Okay. So through and see what our Masorah is, what our traditions say. What is a 3,000-year-old track record? There is a 3,000. You hear this? 3,000 track record for how to have you, everyone who's listening, or show or whatever, anybody, it have the most fulfilling, satisfying, enjoyable, spiritually, emotionally, every way, how to have most satisfaction in your marriage. We have a tradition for that, and here's what it is. I'm actually gonna turn. This is Marriage Secrets. Okay, I'm gonna turn to page D5. And I'm just going to read a couple. There's like 12, and I'm only going to read a couple because they're so hard to hear. Okay, but this way you'll see. Okay. So the Reb Chaim Vital says the majority of a person's eternal reward is determined by his treatment of his spouse. It to say his treatment of his children, of his spouse. Okay, that means however your wife or however you've treated your husband after 120, when you get upstairs, whatever throughs you've had, whatever growth you've had, whatever work you've done there is going to be there for your eternal merit. Whatever you did with your children, it doesn't say. Now, does that mean you neglect your kids? Absolutely not. We have other sources that talk a lot about race, but right now, what we're attempting to do here is mind-boggling. We are trying to get your life that. We're trying to get your life so that you have absolutely clarity on what you should be doing and how you should prioritize your life. And once you know this, you will, I'm telling you, your stress, you ever have that in your shoulders and you just like, you keep rubbing them and they keep being, whatever. You have that level of anxiety and stress in your life. And a huge chunk of it comes not having clarity of priorities. And here's what we're talking about. In the Ramban says, hold on a second. Even relatives are not as close as a man to his wife. Although blood related, naturally they are even closer as if they are one body. Meaning husband and wife are closer than your flesh and blood, your kids. Okay, and you're not even related. Okay, then I'm turning to page 56. Okay. Rabbi Yaakov Palm quoted the Steipler Gaon that raising good children is 50% prayer and 50% peace in the home with the husband and the wife. Next one is Rab Wasserman said that the basis of teaching children is shalom bayis, peace in the home. But here's the kicker. The thing that had me, I heard all these and my head was spinning, okay? Spinning. And what shifted me from saying, well, whatever, letting it go in one ear and out. Well, that could be in certain cases, not my case. Oh, that's not my case, whatever. What shifted me from taking this seriously is the thing that God himself said in the first place. First thing he talks about woman, he says, and she shall be an Ezer Kenegdo, a help opposite him. Okay, meaning that's the identity, the very essence of a woman. He did not say, and she shall be an carpal. Okay, she said an Ezer Kenegdo, helpmate opposite him. So that was our proof. That's our Masorah, that's our tradition. Those are now. Where does that leave us? This is very, very hard class to hear. I know in past years people are just like blown away from this and call me up a week later, 2 weeks later. Oh, goodness, my marriage has totally shifted. Like my kids are being more and more because they're used to mommy for me first, me, daddy first. Like, really, Leah? Like, are you serious? This is insane. Just keep going. And here's what happened. The woman, the husband comes home, right? The kids are used to all the time. The mom's running. Oh, you want macaroni and cheese and you want a hot dog? Oh, okay, all right, whatever. And the mom is at dinner time running and taking care of the kids. And before, the husband came in and she'd say hi and keep taking care of the kids, even they're doing whatever and homework and this one and whatever, and can you help husband and whatever, right? When she started shifting to now he's most important, he's the priority, he's where she's earning her eternal reward. Once that, now, a month later, a month in, the kids who were screaming, "Well, Daddy comes in," they calm down because they know, and their soul knows that when mommy is taking care of daddy, there's no greater mother's milk it could get than watching a husband and a wife have peace in the home, and watching watching daddy put her first. So this couple, getting back to Jeannie, they're two consenting adults, and then do whatever they want. They can make their own decisions. It's not going by what the tradition is, which means there's going to be ideal serenity, the ideal lack of stress, the ideal intimacy, right? And here's where they put a window, or what's it called, a ceiling. They put like a glass ceiling. Maybe it's not even see-through. Maybe it's regular, whatever. They put a ceiling on their happiness because they're doing it their way. They invented how they want their marriage to be. Okay, consenting adults, they can do that. Is that going to get their ultimate happiness? Absolutely not. How do we know this? Because the very person the very being that created them in the first place, created them and then told them each other, number one. Number one. And if you make each other number one, you'll get here. You'll get to this ultimate joy and happiness. Now, here's where it comes into the goodies for us, which is that the level of stress when you know you are putting your husband first, it's undescribable. Okay. As I said, that other woman I spoke about, and believe me, I've walked, by now about thousands, probably 1,000 or 1,800 or 222, whatever it is, thousands of people through this of shifting their priorities. Some people are more successful at it than others, and some it's longer than others, and some people have more challenging children, so it's much harder. Unless you know exactly where you're heading, you're not getting there. And where the exact place we're heading, the ideal we're heading, is to put our husband as our priority as often as we can, as much as we can. So how does that play out in the real world? If you have, I've given this example before, but I like this example because it seems so like, really, Leah, that little of a detail? We follow tiny little details in every other thing of our tradition, right? We're busy, making sure that there's no bugs in the flour, and we're detailed. The details. There's what's it called? It's the devil's in the details. So we're a detail-oriented people. So am I saying that if you have your husband's dress shirt and your daughter's pair of shoes, that you should drive, let's say the easy way to do it would be go to get the shoes, another right, and then you drop off the shirts. Whereas if you do the shirts first, you drop the shirts, then you have to take a left and a left, can't take a right on red. This, for other people in other countries, I'm making no sense. But I'm just saying, it's harder to drop the shirt first. I'm just telling you, try dropping the shirt off first, even though it takes more time and it's more difficult. And here, woo-woo, airy, fairy hard part about this, or weird part about this, is on a spiritual level, it's shifting you. It's not that your husband, if you told him this, he'd think you're nuts. You drop are you crazy? Come on, do what, you've got enough troubles. You got enough to do. You got enough effort. Why should you fluff my pillow before you starting to the kids? The kids are either banging on the door. Hold on. Your husband's already left for work or whatever. You fluff his pillow before you even greet the kids. Making up these, whatever it is, in your own life, what it is. It'll come up right in the face and you're like, oh, I could either, you'll have a choice. There's special bracha, that blessings that come into our home by taking care of my husband first. I'm going to try it. And it's not that it shifts what your husband's perceptions are. On a spiritual, deep spiritual level, we know you can feel this in some mystical way, okay? It's what it does to us as wives. There's a whole different mindset. And there's a part of us that closes off our heart to our husband. That I'm me, you're you, and it's kind of natural. We have that. This kind of softens our heart. It makes us more forgiving of our husband, the things he does. It makes us love him more. It makes us feel closer to him. And this is the beauty of this. You give it a try. Okay, go ahead.
Coming to this class and, over the years when you discussed this and you talked about like greeting your husband when he comes in from work or whenever he comes home, drop what you do and go to the door to greet him.
Right.
So it's usually dinner time in the kitchen or dealing with kids.
It's crazy hour. Witchy hour, crazy hour.
I will say, Daddy's home, and I will leave the kitchen and I will go greet him, which I've never done before. And now all the kids will follow me and greet him at the door. And if he's had a hard day at work and he's like, I don't know, like he's just coming home frustrated or down, and he sees his whole family greeting him at the door, his whole mindset will change. And how could he not be happy at this point anymore? So
it's
like
gold
I've
star of the
seen
day.
the shift.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
That was
to
almost
watch.
like a year ago, and you kept that up.
And also the kids are so excited about it.
Yeah.
And it's just they'll be running, Daddy's home. They'll be so excited and he'll just be thrilled. And it's like, it's really wonderful.
It's
a small thing, but it's a little bit more challenging if you're needing challah and your hands are sticky but force yourself to do it. And you'll see
That's fantastic. Did you have something you want to say? Yeah, okay. So the question I have for you, what stops us from putting our husband first? Callers on the line there, we'd love to hear from you, *6. What stops us? What is our blockages? Why can't we just, okay, Leah, got it. Okay, I'm on it. There's this resistance. What stops us from putting our husband first? Come on. You would know.
She would know. I'm like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Daddy's first. Daddy's first.
Yeah.
Wow,
She saw that
you
growing
grew
up,
with
and
that.
she's been like that.
Run.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. She's always done that.
So at the beginning of this class, that the genie, and she was perfectly justified, they're two grown adults. So where are we holding now about it?
No, listen, it's still very hard. I think not so much in the prioritizing him when let's run an errand. That's kind of easy. Okay, so big deal. You do his thing first. I think it becomes hard where you're having let's say an issue with your child, and you feel that your way has to be the way, and you have to press him by basically saying, well, whatever daddy says, or daddy's right, you're right. I think we're going to get into this in later chapters when we talk about the fact that how do you communicate your gut feelings about things in a way that he can hear? But at the time, you're probably the best move to say, yep, just as daddy says. And then, what do you mean?
No, let's say daddy's not right, or let's say daddy's overreacting, and then let's say you have your opinion what to do with your kid, and then they see, it doesn't really matter what mommy says because it's up to daddy. Even if they want something, then we always go to daddy because it doesn't matter what mommy says because it's ultimately, I don't know.
Good. That's a toughie.
No, I don't know.
But here's the
let's
issue.
say if you're, I mean, should you talk to your husband later? Like, are you overreacting?
Yeah, that's
Or
exactly what.
in front of the kids, show the respect. But then
in front of the kids, here's the thing. We have a Masurah, like this isn't Leah Richeimer's great idea. Okay, we have a Masurah that in front of children, you should say, yeah, zip your lip, whatever. Maybe they'll discern from your thing. If you're not, try and just be totally with your husband. Kids will get that you're not exactly happy because they're with you a lot more than they're with their husband, your husband probably. So they might, but you're just like this. Don't say anything, and then later you can say to your husband,
like, "Mommy, help! This is not."
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, "Yeah, this is whatever he says goes." I don't know. It's
But the issue is, hold on a
the
second.
issue is whether it has to be appropriate though. Let's say.
Hold on a second. Let's say it's not appropriate. He's demanding, the rule in the house. You see fit, clean it. Okay. Let's say that whatever. I'm not advocating or not advocating that, but let's say that's what this family has. So he's enforcing it on a 1.5-year-old.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Okay, you're for whatever to help them to teach more careful. Okay, I hear. 1.5.
Doesn't get it. Even.
1.5 doesn't even get it, and he's just going into tantrum stage and
Right.
so forth. So in a situation like that, in front of the kids, even if they think, oh, mommy's not going to be important, they know that when they're alone with you, they better listen to you. They don't say, oh, mom just lost all in 30. They are going to learn that when mommy and daddy are together and there's they can pick up on that there's a little bit of a discord in how it would, when they watch you, mavater for shalom, step back for peace in the home and elevate your husband, put him on a pedestal, and his word is the word, right? It does something very profound to little children and to big children. It teaches them also what human beings are capable of doing, that you don't have to be a victim of your emotions and rightness, that you can step back and you can just, okay. They probably know exactly how you're feeling. But the fact that you can have self-mastery in this way teaches them self-mastery. You can give all in the world, they we know this, mimic what we do.
It's like you would think by the mother doing that, it's like, oh, so much doesn't, like whatever she says doesn't matter. But really, you're saying it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. They see a woman who and the older kids, let's say it's a 1.5-year-old and because he's not doing the milk and whatever, and the father had whatever, he either had a stupid idea or he has a gut instinct than yours that this kid is a little bit, lets people pamper him, and he, even at 1.5, things he could do himself, you say, get me the diaper. Huh, what? Like it's right there. Huh? And the father catches him on his game, whereas the mom's like, okay, I'll get it. The father catches him on this game, and the father's strength in that area is going to grow the kid in some way. And maybe the husband is not thinking things through, and maybe he, had a terrible day, and now he's taking down the kid. So all of these contingencies be true. The point is, for us as wives, is the moment, if you can let him put him priority over, put the relationship over the kids, put the marriage in front of the kids, shalom with your husband in front, almost whatever happens there, whatever is going on will be okay. 2 reasons. One is because there's blessing where there's shalom, and you're doing that will bring blessings. And any long-range ramifications, you think, oh, this kid now, anytime he spills milk is time for a tantrum because the husband is so harsh. There's certain incidents that happen in a kid's life that mark them, and that change. Like that's why we're very careful in what our children watch and what they see and what they do. And if they use a kid, we had one kid over, whatever, it was a cousin of whatever came over. My kids were very little, and they had guns. And I said, excuse me, I'm not, what, I try not to have kids. My kids don't have guns. They say, well, they see TV all the time. I go, oh, no, not like my kids don't have TV, whatever. And so, but after that visit, my kids were going like this and making Lego guns, all this kind of stuff, because they, those kids were totally into it and having fights in the backyard and whatever. But why are we so careful? We want things to go in kids' minds at the right time, at the right place, or at all, or whatever. We try. We're the gatekeepers of our homes. We're the gatekeepers, and we're very careful. And that our ideals of how we want to raise our children are broken by our own husband in our own. We think, hey, wait a minute. So this is not Leah Richeimer. This is Sora. The rule is at the time. Daddy's way. Daddy's fine. However it is. Sandwich way. We know the sandwich. The sandwich is you say something nice, then you say the constructive criticism, and then you say something else nice. But your husband. You know how to get a point across in a nasty way or a nice way. You can say, look, yesterday you really, I think you did some serious damage on the kid because, every time he spills milk now, it's going to be pretty tough. That's pretty, that's not true, and you're too easy on them, then it starts a whole thing. But if you say, I just want to talk about you, I'm not sure I'm right. I think you might be right because you might be seeing something in my son that is different than what I see. I thought yesterday's only 1.5, and the milk thing, what do you want to do next time? Do you think I should, from now on, not help him when he spills milk, or help him, what's your advice on this, what I should do next time? Say, oh, maybe you're right.
It's so hard for women though, because we are like, I would never walk husband's office and see an employee doing something and tell him how to handle that employee. And what he may be doing with that might seem to me ridiculous. Like, why aren't you dealing with that? But he knows what's been going on and he has much more information. You're home with the kids all the time, and you know all their little nuances, and you know why they may beat or what might have caused the milk to spill in the first place. So for your husband to then come in sort of onto your turf, into your job, and take over, and then for you to say, sure, it's all on him, that becomes hard.
Got it.
And it's not so easy to, even if you're going to say, yeah, whatever daddy said, like not showing it. Because it's not, your face is very clear.
True, but that's where communication comes. What you just said is a beautiful thing to husband say, if your husband or somebody's husband were to come, like a bull in a china shop and say, hey, how come, but that needs to go there. And this, how come you put the dishes here? They should be there. And they're all in your territory or whatever it is you're doing, or they're telling you in your business, you shouldn't bill once a month. You should bill every 2 weeks. Is there bull in a china shop? That's a communication thing. It's going to them and saying, hey, I listen, I really want to do the right thing, but I feel like if I wouldn't go into your office and tell you to run your employees, and because I'm not there all the time, and you get a subtlety and a feeling for it. So when you come and say you have a subtlety, and you start saying how I should do things, it feels a little bit like you're undermining me. I want to be partners in this. I want to come up with a better way for you to give me that input. And that's a communication thing. We're going to do a lot about communication in a short bit in future classes.
I think kids are always uncomfortable if they sense it. They're like, if the parents are discussing it, like, well, my opinion in front of them, as opposed to like, oh, good, mom is on my side.
So
like
that's okay. Do you have like an example?
We have just, hold on. We have a caller else on the line. I don't want to lose him, and we'll come back. If you can just, the caller that's on the line, do we have it? No, right here. Just
where should the sound come out? Over here?
No, click
this
it
thing
again.
isn't on. Does it need to be on?
Yeah, now they're unmuted, but we need do we hear them? Hello, can you say hello? Hold on one second.
Did it
Hold
go
on,
to
don't
sleep?
go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
We're going to get you
Thank
on the
you.
line. We see you. We just have to hear you.
Were you in the middle of saying something? But it was
No.
good. What
Yeah,
was
it's
it?
important.
I don't
We're gonna go
remember.
back
Do you remember
to it.
what you said?
I don't want this. The call's been on for a while. I don't want her to realize that
trying
she was,
to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
she's
can we
been
just, hello, caller? Do we hear you? Can you say hello?
maybe turn this off and let her talk through the laptop, and you can
Hello?
repeat what she's saying. Thank you for being here, everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to finish up and give our homework in just a minute. We're going to see if this caller had a question. We didn't
Hello?
realize.
Caller on the line?
Maybe turn that guy off.
1 second. Let's just see. Hello.
Maybe
No.
turn that guy off. We
Okay,
heard her better without that.
we hear you. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay, you can speak right now.
I just want to know if the rest of the callers can hear the phone call clear, because I've been listening for an hour and I now have to put my ear very close and it's very difficult to hear everything clear. I guess if you could just ask if other people could tell you if there's not a clear reception or you need to make it more clear, there's something to work on.
Okay, thank you. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. Well, so you're saying it's fuzzy or it's
It's not, who's not clear? Is it Leah that you're not hearing?
Leah, and you like 80%. Leah, I would give her 65, and it's Mama's hard here. It's like the whole class is not so, and I want it to be better because Mama has to put my ear into it.
okay, fantastic. Well, thank you.
There's another caller actually on, so we're gonna ask her. Hold on, thank you.
Then if they right, ask them. I just want to know.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
yeah.
other caller that just came on, are you able to hear clearly? No,
They come on if they hit star
Hello?
6.
The other caller that just came on the line, are you able to hear us?
Okay, maybe she's in. Let's go on with the contact. We're almost finished. The class is just about finished. So let's cover these two issues. We'll take care of the technical details after. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Appreciate it very much. Can Facebook people, can you ask them on that? And maybe on Facebook, if you don't mind just typing in, yes, I hear
just
fine,
typing if you can hear us
or I
clearly.
can't hear, or but I can't hear the other people, or I can hear the other people. Not Leah, whatever it is, please type that in. That would really try to improve our show every time. Okay, so I want to, Europe was.
Feel like the parents are disagreeing about what to do, not the 1.5-year-old, because he's
they
not
won't
going to
get it.
understand.
Right.
Versus versus being like happy. Oh, good. Like daddy comes home, he's all upset. You're supposed to do, you should be doing it. Mommy shouldn't do it. And then like, oh, good. Now at least mommy's on my side. Okay, so mommy's agreeing with me.
So
do they ever feel like that, or is it better?
So the issue is that should probably not happen in front of the children.
Right.
Because
it shouldn't happen. So that's what I'm saying. Like if it does happen.
But they're seeing it. You're saying they're seeing it. They're seeing the sense that mommy's not really agreeing with what daddy's saying.
Uncomfortableness, like it always makes them more uncomfortable than to feel like, oh, good, at least like mommy's on my side.
Right,
or will they always feel like,
okay.
is it better for them to never, like to not see that?
Right. Hold
They'll
on.
never feel like,
if
oh,
mommy's on my side means that mommy and daddy have aren't on the same side.
Right.
That's really terrifying for a child. That's terrifying for a 24-year-old daughter or son married sits at the kitchen table. It's terrifying, and there's no need for it. And it's not part of our Masorah. Our Masorah is, you have a united front, not perfect, okay? But as much as possible, you have a united front, and then after you have these conversations and these depends on the kids. In general, the rule of thumb is the more tznius, the more your relationship is and what's going on in the background in your relationship, the better. There could be a thing where it's like, look, daddy has very about feelings about things. I do too, but I want peace in the home. And so does daddy. And you know what? It's so right about so many things that I was positive he was wrong about. I've learned to just say, you know what? Even if he's wrong, so many of the times he's right, I'm just going to go with it. We'll teach him in any other way.
What about like even like daddy's home, like the tradition, like Figgy?
No,
I don't know how it used to be, but all of a sudden, like, your husband's like, oh, wait, what's going on,
Always like, it wasn't like drastic, but now I try to make even more of an effort. I mean, I grew up the same way, like greeting my dad at the door when he came in, but life changes and
it's busy. And we're in a different generation.
Totally
it's harder.
different. Like
Everyone's
he's
doing
not
their
home
thing.
for every
Yeah.
night. My father was home for dinner at the same time every night, so it was more easier to, to
No, and it's
greet him
also
at the door.
easier
Now,
to be
like,
nicer to your father than it is to your husband.
Yeah, especially if he comes home later than he said he was going to be home. In your mind.
You're It's easier to always go greet your father than your husband.
Yeah, but
you're
you saw
upset at
your
him
mother
about
do
something, and
You resentments and he
exactly.
did this
Your
to you
resentment's
today.
enough, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why you're not greeting him.
Yeah.
To make a
Not so
point.
nice, not so good. Okay, so here, let's give a wrap up and some homework. Okay. The secret of today, Leah's secret of the day. Sarit's in bed and I love it. Okay. Leah's secret of the day is the more clarity that you have about what's most important to you, the less stress you will have in your life. So by putting your husband first and just knowing that's it, finished. I don't have to juggle. What am I going to do? I do it when that stress will be gone because you'll know the right thing is to put my husband first. And then, I'm doing logistics and sometimes I'll fail at that. We're not saying if you're giving the kids a bath, leave them in the bath and go greet your husband at the door. No, but it does mean saying, dear, I'll be out in 5 minutes. So he feels like a king, acknowledged and validated. He's here. Okay. Homework of take one definitive action this week. Your husband at the top of your priorities. So whether that's the dry cleaners first or the, setting his table first, or whether it's, kid comes, you're talking to your husband and the kid comes, oh, you won't believe what happened. In 10 minutes, I won't believe what happened right now. I'm with daddy and we're talking. One time this week, and I promise you this, your marriage and your life will never be this. There's a level of intimacy available here, a level of closeness, and a level of holiness that this will bring to your home and your level of contentment. So just try this and see. I'm just to see you report back next week. This is the Ladies Talk Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Richeimer, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. Yay!